Hey y'all, this is Laura with A2J Tech, and I'm here to provide you with some tips and tricks while you're creating those questions for your interviews. So when you're building out the actual questions, you want to always reference the form that you are automating with this interview. So this interview I have is for the Georgia Summons document that I have here from Cobb County. So something to keep in mind is, who is your audience? If you are making this interview for a client / layperson, keep in mind that you want to avoid as many legal terms as possible. So you want to avoid using petitioner, you want to avoid using respondent. Those look like the only fields in this form. In this process, when someone is submitting a summons, it's a petitioner. So what we can ask the client is what is your name? And that will go where petitioner is. So for example, I'll hit text and I'll ask them, what is your name? Actually, let's say, what is your full name? So that gets the question done, and definitely don't forget to name your variables. That's just as important. So the next one is respondent. Usually you don't want to say who is the respondent. I think especially if this is meant to be client facing. Instead, try to define what a respondent is. Like you can say, who are you filing against? Or depending on what subject matter it is, you can, like if this were for a divorce process, you can ask them, who is your spouse? Or if you're a landlord, you can ask them, who are the tenants? So keep in mind the processes as well. So for instance, if we're trying to stay broad, we're going to phrase it as, who are you filing against? Okay. So keep in mind to name your variables somewhat descriptive. You don't want it to be too long, but you do want to be able to understand the tags when you are automating this document. Now, if this is meant to be used internally, you can rephrase this. Instead of asking, what is your full name? You can ask, what is the name of the client? I recommend changing the variable names as well to client full name. And I would also want to change this. I would also want to change this question to ask if we're the petitioner or if we're the respondent. So we know where to put their name on the form. And then lastly, we'll ask for the opposing party's name. So another layer in this is whether these parties are represented by attorneys. So for instance, if this opposing party has an attorney, you want to be able to ask for that as well. So you can gather the attorney's information and have it output on the form. So those are some things to keep in mind while you build out your interview. And if you ever need a Documate expert, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Talk to you guys later.